Good day to you. My name is Fred Oakman, and as always with me today is Mr. Jake Peters. We are PS This Is Awesome, a PlayStation podcast. This is episode 152. This is a show where we share our feelings about the current state of PlayStation. Before we get on with the show, I'd like to invite you all to subscribe to our channel on YouTube and visit us on Twitter and Tumblr. If you want to make fun of our trophy lists on the PSN, you can find me at anchorless_81 and Mr. Jake Peters at jakesaw01. And as always, you can write the show at psthisisawesome at gmail.com. And most importantly, don't forget to share this show with your friends and be sure to leave comments and rate the podcast as you see fit. All right, Jake, what's going on, man? A lot of news. Before we get into anything, I just want to say I wanted to give a quick explanation as to why we haven't had an episode recently. I was pulled away briefly from my home, my studio, unexpectedly. It was in North Carolina on the 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th. Jake was in Cincinnati unexpectedly, 14th through the 17th. And then, Jake, you and I had a concert just this past Friday on the 18th. So we're recording this on the 20th, which is really quite as soon as we possibly could have. And again, if you are a listener and you want to guarantee a podcast every week from Jake and I, all you have to do is write in. If we have 1 million people that write in and say, hey, we want a podcast every week, then maybe we'll try to set up something like a Patreon. But right now it makes zero sense for us because I don't think we have a lot of listeners. So we are trying to be more committed to releasing a weekly podcast. But in my honest, humble opinion, I think we're doing pretty good considering right now, we don't get any reimbursement for this. This is a labor of love. And again, to the listeners, we apologize. We missed an episode or two recently. But that might be something we would look into if we had enough emails. And you can write the show at psthisisawesome at gmail.com if that is something you'd be interested in. But like I said, right now, it doesn't seem like it'd be worth our effort to set that kind of Patreon thing up right now because we're just not seeing the numbers we wish we had. Although I do think we do have an amazing PlayStation podcast, Jake. I don't think that we're hitting the audience or finding the listeners that we truly deserve. So with that, let's get on our way. How are you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing all right for being a Sunday.
Yeah, it's almost 8 o'clock Sunday night. A lot of stuff happened recently. Good to hear it. I'm just going to talk real quick about a couple games I've been playing. I kind of want to hear where you're at. I got a hold of you already, but the listeners don't know. But I did finally beat the Ghost of Tsushima, and I platinumed that. So I added that to my platinum list, which is kind of strange. And I just bought Tetris Effect for PSVR on the VR sale going on the PSN right now. And my goal this week is to beat the last episode of Life is Strange 2. And I just recently finished one multiplayer match of Call of Duty Cold War, which was the alpha that got released recently. So with that being said, Jake, are you playing anything right now?
After I finished up with Ghost of Tsushima, I considered maybe going towards getting the platinum or something. I just don't know that I have the patience for it. I like the game a lot, but it's one of those things where I'm just kind of... I've been playing it for fucking a month and a half, so I'm kind of over it at this point. But since I kind of finished up that, I've been playing... I went back to my Xbox, and I've been playing Halo Reach the last couple days. And then the whole time I was on my trip for work this past week, I took my Vita with me, and I was actually playing Killzone Mercenary on my Vita because I'd never played it before. But we got it on PS Plus
such a couple
years ago, and I've been playing it, and it's pretty great. I mean, it runs like the fucking frame rate is horrible in that game, but for being on a handheld, I mean, it's pretty legit. I mean, it's cool that it's like definitely a console-esque shooter for the handheld is pretty impressive. I'd still say that it's a little bit laggy, and those stumpy little sticks do make it a little bit kind of challenging to play a first-person shooter with any amount of real like accuracy and finesse. But what I did play, I had fun with. So I played the first, while I was on my trip, I played maybe an hour or so every day when I was in the hotel. So, probably, I don't know, I probably played the first 3 or 4 missions of that game. But what I played, I enjoyed.
Yeah. Is that the Killzone game that was a first-person shooter on the Vita? You said it was, right? That was the first-person shooter one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that game's awesome. Yeah, I absolutely loved that game. It was so good. Well, that's cool that you're playing something different. Yeah, as far as Ghost goes, I thought that they did a really good job with the trophy list. You don't have to collect all the banners. You don't have to collect, like, all of the shit. You don't have to collect all of the letters, all the notes. Now, a lot of those collecting things are the things that really turn me off from trophies because they just seem so tedious. But for the most part, I thought the trophy list was fair for the platinum. It was good.
Do you have to clear the map? Like, do you have to?
What I wanted to do.
Do you
go
have
ahead.
to do all of the? Do you have to 100% clear the Mongols out of the whole island to get the platinum?
Yes.
Yeah, that was
Yes.
honestly the big kind of thing that I didn't really feel like doing, just because I knew it was going to be like another probably 5 or 6 hours of gameplay for me to go back through and clear the Mongols on the island, like all 3 sections of the island. And I went through and I did, what I had to do in order to get all the stances opened up and get most of the techniques unlocked and all that stuff. But that's like a balance thing where to me it's like, okay, well, I did all of this shit and now like I basically have everything unlocked. I have all the skill points, everything upgraded. And now, but I still have like 5 hours worth of fucking outpost clearing to do. And it's like, there's no drive for me to do it other than to just do it to get the trophy. And it doesn't really hold that much interest to me in that regard. That said, I do think the combat is really good. It's quite simple, but it's also kind of complicated. I wouldn't say it's complicated, but it's one of those things where it's like easy to do, but it's like kind of hard to master. So, but in that respect, I do think that it's a pretty great combat system for what it is. I mean, I definitely like it. I don't know if I like it more than The Witcher, because it has a lot of similarities to The Witcher in terms of like the parrying and the dodging and all that kind of stuff. But one of the things that I do like about it more than The Witcher is like the fact that you can change your stance depending on what enemies you're going up against, and you can really the moves that you use against the types of enemies that you're fighting makes a huge difference, way more so than a game like The Witcher, where there is a lot of parrying, there is a lot of dodging, but that's pretty much it. It's like parrying and dodging. Other than that, it's like just straight up combat. So that is one of the things that I did really like about it.
Yeah, it's good in that regard for sure. I really enjoyed my time with the game, and it way longer than we both anticipated it being. But enough about Ghost of Tsushima, because we've been talking about Ghost of Tsushima for a very long time. As an icebreaker, Jake, Push Square has another quiz. There's 10 questions. I want you to try your hand at this quiz. I'm going to feed you the questions. You give me the answers, and we'll see where you rank on this. What it deals with is guessing the price of these PlayStation products. You're guessing the launch price, okay? I'm going to give you 4 options for each one.
Okay.
And then you just go, okay, so the PlayStation 1, how much did this cost at launch? $350, $250, $329, or $299?
For the PS1, I want to say it was either 250 or 300. I can't remember, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say 300.
All right, let's click 300. 300 is correct. So 299 is what you meant. The PlayStation 2. How much did the PlayStation 2 cost at launch? If you know the answer before I give you the options, just say it. But the options are 299, 350, 250, or 329.
What were the options again?
Other listeners are probably like, man, just edit out those silences. But I love the silence where you're just sitting and pondering, because the listeners are probably doing the same thing. $299, $350, $250, or $329. This is the PlayStation 2.
I'm going to go ahead and guess $299 again.
All right, let's check $299. Correct. That's 2 for 2, Jake. I'm impressed.
Yeah, because I I did get a PS2 at launch, but it was like my parents bought it, so I didn't remember exactly what it
Okay,
cost.
well, let's just keep going right up the ladder. PlayStation 3 60 gig model. That's where it gets a little weird. It's the different SKU. PS3 60 gig model, $574, $649, $599, or $624.
I want to say, I can't remember which PS3 model was the base model, but the 60
was the middle model. It was the middle model. The 60 gig was the middle.
Because the 20 gig was like the base model, right?
Yeah.
So the 60 gig model, I'm gonna say it was $649.
I'm going to click $649. Nope. The answer was $599.
So that must have been the base model. Because you know what? I think it was kind of weird because the base. I think it was like you could get a 60 gig PS3, and it was like cheaper than the 20 gig PS3, but the 20 gig PS3 had the PS2 backwards compatibility, so it was more expensive. I think now that I think about it, I think maybe the 20 gig one was a little bit more. But yeah, okay, I got that one wrong.
Okay. All right, well, all the possible answers for that PS3 are higher than what we're going to get to later in the show, which is the release for the PS5 and the price for that. So that's interesting. How much did the PS4 cost at launch? Do you know this off the top of your head?
Yeah, it was $399.
$399, correct. How much did the PS4 Pro cost at launch? $329, $349, same price? Correct. Jake, I think you've only missed one. This is a tough one. How much did the PSP cost at launch? You want the options?
Yeah.
$299, $249, $199, or $274?
I never owned a PSP, so this is literally just going to be a straight up guess. I'm going to say at launch I'm going to go out on a limb and say $199. I think it was probably $299, but I'm going to say $199.
The answer is $249. Split the difference.
Oh, weird.
Retailed at $249 at launch.
I think I did hear that maybe the PSP was like the only like base model Sony console or handheld that launched at a $50 kind of price point, where it was like in between even hundreds, because they pretty much all, other than like a random SKU, right, where it was like, oh, because you got this fucking weird model, it's $50 more. Like all the base models of all of the units pretty much launched at like, you know, an even $100 price point.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, here we go. We're on question 7 of 10. How much did the PSP Go cost at launch? I don't even know what this is. Was this a phone? Was this their phone that they had?
It was a version of the PSP that was like smaller and like kind of folded up and stuff, I think.
Okay. All right.
I think it was like it was like a slimmer version of the PSP. So I'm going to guess it was probably cheaper than the original.
Okay, and the original was $249. So the options on this are $224, $174, $199, or $249.
I'm going to guess $199, although it could be the same price as the original.
Nope. Same price as the original, $249. Yeah. How much did the PS Vita Wi-Fi version cost at launch? $199.
$300.
$299 is an option. $249 or $349. You want to give?
I think it's $299 because I think the 3G version or 4G version or whatever the fuck it was, I think it was $50 more.
Okay, $299, incorrect. The answer is $249.
Really?
That's interesting. Yeah, I thought it was $299 also. All right, this one's going to probably trip you up, although you have 2 of these. How much did a single PlayStation Move controller cost at launch? $49, $39, $69, or $59?
I'm going to just guess in line with all of their peripherals and say it was $59.
$49 is the correct answer.
To be fair, like the PS, so I never owned a PSP. PS Vita, I bought secondhand, so it was like $150. And then my Move controllers, I didn't buy them until way after they launched because I didn't need them until I bought the VR, really.
Right. Well, speaking of VR, question 10 of 10, how much did the headset-only PlayStation VR cost at launch? $399, $499, $379, or $449?
If it's what I think it is, it's $399. If what you mean by headset only is what I think you mean, it's $399.
You are correct. So you scored a 50%, 5 out of 10. Push Square is saying you are Sony's budding mathematician. So that actually wasn't bad.
It's just all that handheld shit fucked me up. I don't really play handhelds all that much.
Yeah, good job, though. So I thought that would be a nice icebreaker for the topic of our show. For those who don't know, Sony had their PlayStation 5 press event on September 16th. It fell on, I believe, a Wednesday. Was it Wednesday or Thursday they had that? What was September 16th?
It was Wednesday.
Do you know? Happened on Wednesday. On Tuesday, I was super stoked because I thought it was on Tuesday, but it wasn't. It was on Wednesday. So let's just cut right to the chase, Jake, and discuss the September 16th PS5 release thing that Sony had. So the PS5 release date was announced for the US, and that date has been announced as Thursday, November 12th, and that also encompasses Japan, Mexico, Australia, New Zealand, and South Korea. The rest of the world will have access to the PS5 on November 19th, 2020, which is a week later. While many actually speculated on this date, Jake, I didn't really care about the date. I think all that really matters is that we're going to be within 2 months of having the next gen console, possibly having it. We'll get to that in a little bit very soon. So that's really exciting, I think. It's been a long time. I remember when PS4 came out, we were doing the show. So we've been doing the podcast for a long time. I remember I had it delivered to my parents' house just because I think that was the address that was set up when I pre-ordered it or whatever. I think you ordered your PS4 directly from Sony, if I remember right. I think I got mine from Best Buy. That's interesting. So do you have anything to say about the date, about the stagger of the date? Available on the 12th for us and other countries, and then the rest of the world on the 19th. And any opinion, anything you want to comment on that?
So my only comment is for the PS4 launch, they did the same thing. They released in North America first because it's the biggest market they have. My second comment is, and they I don't think like on the PS4, I don't think that they even released in Japan and all these other places. I think it was literally just North America, and then a little bit later everybody else. My second comment is that the fucking date doesn't matter because I'm not going to get one. So what it boils down to.
You might get one. We don't know. We don't know yet. And there's more to say about that, and we'll get to that, and I'm sure it's going to open up a big can of a discussion between you and I. So the price, let's get to the price because we just did that little quiz. The price for the digital PlayStation 5 was announced at $399 US, and then we're going to call it the fat PS5, which includes the 4K Blu-ray drive, is $499. And let's get into the other prices of the peripherals, and then we'll have a conversation. The DualSense controller is going to be $69.99 as opposed to the DualShock 4, which I think retails at $50 right now. $49.99, I believe. Or $59.99. Do you know what the DualShock 4 costs right now? Is it $59? It might be $59.
At launch, it was $59. I don't know what it is right now.
I think it's still $59. So they raised the price of the controller by $10. It's now $69.99. The charging station, they have their own charging station. I don't know if they've ever had one before, but now it's $29.99. They are selling an HD camera for $59.99 and a media remote for $29.99, and then finally the headset, which is the next upgrade from the Sony Gold or whatever they're calling it, the Pulse headset, and it's supposed to have that 3D audio shit, is actually $99.99, which is actually pretty affordable if it's a good headset. I did see, though, that it's going to still require a fucking dongle, which is ridiculous. So, Jake, any comment on the prices for any of this stuff?
I mean, all of it seems fine. I mean, it sounds like the DualSense, is going to be a more complicated controller. So it's, I mean, even if it was literally the same fucking controller, I wouldn't be surprised if they raised the price $10. I mean, everything's getting so much more expensive just generally, with inflation and everything the past however many years. it's not really that big. I think even way back when, the fucking DualShock 3s were like $60 to buy them. So at least 50.
Yeah, we haven't seen a price hike in a while.
Yeah, so I'm not surprised about any of that. It's cool like that they're offering a charging station, because I'd probably pick that up, because it is really nice to have one. And then, as far as the camera goes, I don't know anything about the camera, if it's even worth it to get the new camera over the old, keep just using the old one for the PS4. Because as far as the HDness goes, like, who cares if you're just using it for VR? It's not like it's like it really matters whether or not it's HD unless you're recording yourself for some reason. Now, maybe they'll come out later and they'll say, oh, with the new version of PSVR, you
better
need
tracking
the HD
or something.
camera or whatever, and if that's the case, then so be it. I think that the price, the $99 for the headset, is actually a really good value. I agree with you. It's 100% unacceptable that it requires a dongle. I do not understand why it does not natively connect to the PS4. It's fucking ridiculous. And that's from somebody who doesn't even give a shit about headsets or headphones or anything like that. Just from a technology perspective, like, literally nothing requires dongles anymore. I mean, it should just be able to natively connect to your PS4 via Bluetooth or wireless or whatever. And I'm guessing the reason why it requires a dongle is so that they could cut costs with the console and all this kind of stuff. So, I mean, maybe it's $99 because it has a dongle, and if it didn't have a dongle, it would cost more money. Or it could be that, now that I'm thinking about it, it could be that because it's 3D audio and everything, there's so much bandwidth required
that you can't do it on Bluetooth.
That you can't do it on Bluetooth, so they need to use like some sort of like high frequency Wi-Fi or something like that, which could be the reason. But at the same time, it's like,
well, I believe that
Sony,
over everything.
It's a Sony Well, the thing is, it's a Sony fucking peripheral. Just bake it into the console. Like, if you could literally just be like, hey, you bought our console, then just, you get our headset. You don't need any of this extra shit. Like, I don't know. I mean, it seems like a really simple concession to make.
You're already heated. I love it. Yeah. Well, the other thing about it is this: there were some more photos of the PlayStation 5 that rolled out with some measurements around it. I'm not going to get into the measurements of it, but we did finally get to see a picture of the back of the console. And there are two USB inputs in the back of the console. And I wrote on Reddit, I said, oh, pretty bummed that there's only two USB ports, because I didn't see any other USB ports on the front. And a Reddit user wrote in and said, actually, it looks like there's two USB-A ports in the back, one USB-A port in the front, and then one USB-C port in the front. So at least we have some USB ports in the back of the system, because we never had those before. On any of these before, and you're always plugging your shit into the front, and all your wires are hanging out the front. So it's kind of nice that they're going to have that. So if you are going to use your headset, you could probably just flip that little dongle in the back and not ever have to worry about losing it, never have to worry about it falling out, never have to worry about it being visible or taking up a slot that you want to plug your controller into or whatever. So that was my big gripe with the Sony Gold headset, is that it would always get in the way of me charging my controller. Because if you have a VR headset, the VR headset has to use a USB input. And then your charger uses USB input. So you couldn't use the Sony Gold headset. I believe you couldn't use it unless, I don't even know if you can use it with a VR. I think you have to use the cord to plug into the VR unit. Anyways, long story short, I hope that that's all figured out. Even though it uses a dongle, I hope it all works. I agree with you. I think the price on it makes 100% sense. I'm glad it's not more expensive. I hope they sell a lot, especially since they're touting the PS5 as being a 3D audio machine. They're really pushing that. I am curious about it, and I probably will end up with this headset, because my Sony Gold has been through the ringer. And one of these days, maybe on a 3-pay month at work, maybe I'll pick up the headset for myself or something. We'll see. I don't think that the price for the PS5 is bad. I think it's great. The $399, they matched Xbox. I think that's great. I think it's wonderful. So you can essentially get a PS5 for $399, which is what you could buy a PS4 for. So it's essentially the same price as the PS4 when the PS4 released, which is crazy. But if you want the disc, you're going to pay an extra $100. Yeah. Right. So if you want the disc, you're going to pay an extra $100. A lot of people are saying a 4K Blu-ray disc, whatever player right now is nearly impossible to find for $100. So you're getting bargain for it just by buying the $499, because you're going to get a 4K Blu-ray player out of it, as well as a place to load your games and stuff. So anyways, I think that I had heard rumors that the fat PS5 they were making more of those than just the digital only ones. So I think that's interesting. But anyways, Jake, there's that. Do you have any opinion on the price of the consoles?
No, it's literally not surprising at all. If there's any surprise about it, it's that the all-digital version is so cheap. I think the fact that the all-digital version is only $399 is actually a fucking steal. The fact that the main, we'll call it the main, PS5 with the disc drive is $499, that's not really surprising at all. Everyone's been speculating that for like 2 years now. So I'm not really super surprised there. But I think that if you don't really care that much about having a disc drive and you are willing to get the digital version for $399, that's a fucking steal.
Yeah, so a lot of people, I 100% agree with you. A lot of people that I've heard and saw posts on Reddit about and all that good stuff, we're just making comments about, I don't need one at launch because there are no launch games that really are enticing. So real quick, before we get into the pre-order stuff, there's a lot more that they talked about at this event. But the launch titles right now that we know of for the PS5 include Astro's Playroom, Demon's Souls, Destruction All-Stars, Fortnite, Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition, Miles Morales, Godfall, and Sackboy: A Big Adventure. Those are going to be the only release games for the system as it stands. And if I'm being honest, there's not really a whole lot that jumps out at me. Astro's Playroom is going to come with the system. So the only one out of the rest of those that really jump out is the Spider-Man Miles Morales for me. And you and I have been big advocates talking about the Ratchet and Clank game, and Demon's Souls looks good, but it is technically a remake and slash remaster. Sorry, I think it's a remaster, not a remake. But Blue Point was in charge of that. But go ahead, Jake.
Dude, I'll tell you what, man. If Demon's Souls is a remaster, it is one of the fucking slickest looking remasters I've ever seen. Because I played the original Demon's Souls, and like looking at the footage from the press conference, like all of like the animations and shit are all new and everything. So not like 100% new, but like it looks like they upped the ante on a lot of the presentation. So it could be that it's just a remaster, and it probably is, but it seems like it's more than just like an up-res.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, it looked fantastic. I mean, that again, those games need an easy mode because I'm a little nervous about even trying it. So, anyways, let's talk briefly about the presentation, Jake, and what was all unveiled, and we'll wrap up this rundown of the event with pre-order story that I have. And Jake, you can fill us in on your pre-order story, whether you have one or not, and let us know how that all shook out for you. But first up on the presentation, they showed Final Fantasy 16 from Square Enix. Jake, did you watch the presentation?
I did, yep.
Okay, so Final Fantasy 16 looks like they're hearkening back to the more of the medieval feel. Everything looked kind of slick in this game. I'm not going to lie. It looked kind of cool. I like the way this game looked. Any opinions on this?
Yeah, I thought it looked cool. I mean, it doesn't look like a Final Fantasy. I mean, it looks like a Final Fantasy game, but like an OG Final Fantasy game when it was all medieval and stuff, not like the new steampunk crap. Or even like the newer like Final Fantasy 15 where it's like kind of modern. It looks great. And it looks like it might share the combat system of Final Fantasy 7 Remake, which is really fucking good. I don't know if it will share it exactly, but if it does, that would be really awesome. And like just everything about it looks really cool. Because it doesn't, it doesn't scream like iterative Final Fantasy to me. It's like, oh, this is like it's Final Fantasy, but it's like a new direction. You know what I mean? Which is like with the aesthetic and everything. And it's not necessarily new. I mean, it's old because all the shit used to be medieval based. It's kind of like after I got done playing Final Fantasy 7 Remake for so long, seeing this, I was like, oh, this is cool because it's like a new direction. Compared to that.
100%, dude. Yeah, I'm with you on that. So they showed that first. Next, we got to see more Spider-Man Miles Morales. I don't really have much more to say about this game except that it looks beautiful. Thing is I guess this game's going to be playable on the PS4, but there's a lot of, in the gaming world, there's a lot of speculation about this. And they're saying, well, I thought it was going to be a true, next-gen game. But, who cares? If it looks good And if you like the first Spider-Man, you're going to like it, and it's going to load way faster on the PS5, and it probably will take advantage of ray tracing and all that other garbage. So I don't really care if it wasn't built from the ground up for PS5. Those games are going to come. They're just not going to happen right away, I don't think. But Jake, any additional input on Spider-Man Miles Morales? I think the game looked absolutely fantastic, and this is probably going to be the day one game that I get.
This is one of those games where, like, if for whatever reason I can't get a PS5 at launch, I'll probably just play it on PS4, because I don't know that it's really going to make that much of a difference to me, because Spider-Man was originally a PS4 game. So yeah, it might look a little flashier. Yeah, it might load a little faster on PS5, or even a lot faster. Maybe there'll be no loading times at all. I'm sure it's going to be amazing on PS5. What I would say is that it's not like this next gen experience that I'm expecting out of it. I'm expecting like more of Spider-Man, and maybe I'm wrong about that, and maybe it will be something kind of crazy. But I don't see any reason to like wait to play it if it's available on PS4, assuming I don't have a PS5 at launch.
If you were to buy a launch title and you do have a launch PS5, Jake, what game would you go for? Would you just stick with the built-in Astro's Playroom and wait till another game came out? I think I'm pegging you for a Demon's Souls kind of guy.
Demon's Souls, I am definitely interested in it, but that's a game that I would wait to buy on sale, just because, like you said, it's so fucking hard that, like, I know I'm only going to get so far in it before I quit. So I don't want to spend $60 on this game just to kind of experience it and then just like give up after like the first so much, because it's just way too hard for me. Miles Morales would probably be that game. Maybe Sackboy if it looks good, but we haven't really seen anything, or I mean we've seen a little bit about it, but like it looks just like a
PS4 game or something.
Yeah, but it's like a 3D platformer, which looks kind of neat, you know?
Yeah, the game style's nice.
Right, as opposed to being like the 2.5D platformer that the original Little Big Planet games were.
Right.
That said, I kind of wish that they had something like a fucking Killzone Shadowfall or a Resogun or something like that.
Or Resistance, Jesus Christ. Or where's Resistance?
Because they don't have anything like that, and it's like, well, okay, so then what's my launch? You know, my big AAA launch game going to be? Is it going to be fucking Call of Duty? Like maybe. I don't the Call of Duty shit that the Cold War stuff that they showed in that presentation looked awesome. So like maybe it's that. I have no idea.
Could and be then it's you're gonna get tons of multiplayer games with that too. Yeah.
Who knows?
I don't know, man.
Who knows?
All right.
I mean, maybe Godfall is going to be good, but it just looks so generic to me. I don't know if I'd be interested enough to buy it at launch.
Yeah, it hasn't really gripped me either. So after Spider-Man Miles Morales, we finally got a look at the long-awaited Harry Potter game. I think Rocksteady's doing this. Am I right? Is that Rocksteady doing that? Who's doing the Harry Potter game?
No.
Maybe it's not them.
No.
Who the hell is it?
I don't remember, but it's not Rocksteady.
It's the studio that fell off the earth, right? It's that studio that fell off the earth for a long time, but it wasn't Rocksteady. But yeah, this game actually looked really cool. It's called The Legacy of Hogwarts. The problem with this game is that you're a little younger than me, Jake. The Harry Potter thing, I think it looks great. I think it looks awesome. This game looks so sick. But my issue with this game is that I'm not very into Harry Potter. So do you have an opinion on this?
I think it actually looks really good. And I don't even give a crap about Harry Potter. I mean, I'll tell you this. I didn't read the books, but I watched all the movies. My wife is a huge Harry Potter fan. Mm-hmm. She was like, the way that she always explains it to me is like when she was growing up, when the books were released, she was always the same exact age as Harry Potter in the books. So like when she was reading through them, she identified with the characters the whole time it was coming up. I was not quite old enough to be out of it, because there were definitely kids in my class and stuff that was reading it in high school and all that, but it just wasn't something that never grabbed me. I think a lot of what bothered me about Harry Potter was always like especially in the earlier stories and stuff, the very whimsical, like hocus pocusy kind of nature to it. And it like I gravitated much more to like the high fantasy, like in terms of like magic and fantasy and all that kind of stuff. I gravitated more towards like darker
Lord of the Rings style.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings style, where magic was much more kind of, I don't want to say masculine, but like more like kind of hardcore, as opposed to like waving a wand and like literally the spell that kills people in Harry Potter is just like a play on abracadabra. To me, I was always just like, like it made me sigh. I don't want that to detract from the fact that it is still like a very good story, a very cool universe. So I would definitely be super interested in playing that game, assuming that it like comes out and it lives up to what it looks like in these trailers. And it is really neat that it takes place like 100 years before the movies and before the books. You don't have like the OG cast and stuff in it, so you don't have to worry about story and conflict and all that kind of crap and trying to figure out how to make like a licensed
You don't have to be up to date.
Yeah, so like
you don't have to watch all the movies. That all
seems really cool. And it seems like they're going to kind of open it up so that you like have dungeons and shit, and you can kind of go through the world in sort of at least a semi-open fashion and kind of explore the Harry Potter universe, like outside of the bounds of what the books and the movies present to you, which to me seems like a really cool idea. Like I really hope that they deliver because it looks awesome in the trailer. Yeah,
that'll be really good too for the franchise. And the other thing I just wanted to chime in is that it's Avalanche Studios, not Rocksteady. That was my bad.
Oh yeah, Avalanche, and then some other. It's Avalanche and some other developer. I don't know the name of the other one, but I did see on the card at the end of the trailer that there were a couple different developers there.
Okay, cool. All right, so after we got that nice little cinematic and trailer for the game, we got a little more taste of Resident Evil Village, which is Resident Evil 8.
Oh, it looks so good, dude.
That game looks so good. It continues the story of Mia and whatever his name is from
Adam
7.
or Alex or something.
Yeah. Oh, it looks so good.
It looks so good.
So good.
Dude, they look so fucking creepy. Like, to be fair, like the Resident Evil games have always been kind of like tense and creepy and kind of survival horror-y and stuff, but like until 7, when they put you in that first person point of view, and they just like dirtied everything up, like it is just the Bayou-esque kind of atmosphere that they had in 7 was really spooky and kind of gritty. But this new atmosphere where it's almost like a Resident Evil 4 kind of like a
castle,
like
or like
European
an old
kind of setting. Like it looks so, and like the snow and everything looks fucking great.
The face animations of that old person were so good.
And part of me wonders too, like remember in Resident Evil 7, most of the bad guys were just those like black like slime creatures.
Yeah.
Like I wonder, I assume that it looks like in this game they're going to kind of broaden their horizons with the enemy types a little bit. And that may mean that it kind of fucks with the VR functionality, like it might not be playable all the way through on VR like 7 was. But I don't know. I mean, but it looks great. I couldn't say enough about it. Like when I watched it, it's one of those games where like I'm kind of not in a hurry to play it because it's a spooky game and I always like have to get like kind of psych myself up to play games like that. But at the same time, I'm so excited for it to come out.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This is going to be a purchase for me. I'm really into it. After Resident Evil 8, we got more on Deathloop. I'm not sold on this one, Jake. I know that you like the looks of it. I just don't like the idea of playing the same thing over and over and over. It almost has like a Mega Man feel in the regards that it's almost like I bet you have to defeat certain targets in a certain order and able to proceed. And once everybody figures out the Deathloop, the game's going to be ruined. Because like once you figure it out, that's the game.
I think that's why they integrated the that like rogue assassin that is trying to kill you the whole time, which is that that your opposite character. Because I think they added that in to kind of shake it up. You could be right. I mean, that's a good point about it, like the Mega Man-esque kind of game. Like it very well could be something like that. And the way that they kind of can jazz it up, though, is make it like Hitman-esque, where it's like not just one thing that you do to win, right? There's like a multitude of different ways where you can set different guys up together to kind of make things work your way. And not just be like, the standard is like in Mega Man, it's like pretty common that there's like one standard way, and then there's like a bunch of other ways that people have figured out. But it's basically like, you kill this robot master and get this weapon to kill this robot master to get this weapon to kill that robot master. But like, it feels like this game especially since it's Arcane doing it, I'm sure that they are probably giving you a multitude of different ways to kind of go about every single scenario, which will kind of help sort of. Now, you might be right. I mean, there may like one way may rise to the top as like the easiest way to beat the game. Honestly, the one thing that does disappoint me about the game looks awesome to me, but the one thing that does disappoint me about it is that it looks like they're literally just recycling a bunch of the supernatural shit from Dishonored, like all the powers that he's using, like in the fucking in the
blinking
trailer,
and all that
like,
stuff. Yeah,
like even the animations and the graphics and shit, they're straight rips from Dishonored. Like the teleporting thing especially. So like, and Arcane did that too, so that's where they got the shit from. But what would be really kind of cool way to explain it is if they were like, hey, look, Deathloop is in the same universe as Dishonored. And so some of this shit is like tied in. Like that would be a really cool way for them to explain it. I don't know if they could. It would be kind of interesting.
Yeah, that would be interesting for sure, man. I didn't mention, but I meant to mention was that after Harry Potter, they actually came out with more Cold War stuff from Call of Duty, and they announced that PS4 owners will be getting an alpha multiplayer this weekend. And I touched on that a little bit. I downloaded it, played one match, and deleted it. It's just more Call of Duty, nothing special there. So after Deathloop, we got it was announced that Devil May Cry is going to have a special edition, and that will be available digitally for the PS5. Jake, Devil May Cry has a huge following. I've never gotten into the games. In fact, I've never even played them. There's just something about their aesthetic that comes off really cheesy to me that it never drew me to it. Do you have any opinion on Devil May Cry?
Yeah, no, I'm kind of with you. Devil May Cry has that like stylish, like super stylish Japanese action game aesthetic. I don't know. It never really hit home to me. Now, when I say that, I've never played a Devil May Cry game, but like the aesthetic and the gameplay and all that stuff never really convinced me to pick it up. Now, I've heard really great things about Devil May Cry 5. I just haven't, had the desire to really play it. Now, if it comes out and it's cheap, or if I'm looking for something to play at launch on PS5 or something, maybe I'll try it, because it does seem like it could be cool. I don't know. There's something about those games that are like hyper stylized, where it's like there's just tons of enemies on the screen at a time, and it's all like hectic and chaotic. The visuals are really all over the place. Like, I like to kind of know what's going on in front of me. And so, like when you do these attacks and the whole screen is just like lines and flashing and enemies flying everywhere, and it's hard to kind of stay on top of it visually for me personally. But that said, I have heard great things about Devil May Cry 5, so it might be something I'd be willing to try. Yeah,
people love that game, man. They love the series. After that, we got more on Oddworld Soulstorm, another game that a lot of people are into. I'm just not into it. I don't know. It just doesn't really grab me. I don't know if you have anything to say about Oddworld. It's just more of the same. We didn't really see anything that was like groundbreaking, I don't think.
No, I played an Oddworld game once. One of my most hated things in all of video games is escort missions. And Oddworld is literally a game that is one giant escort mission with obstacles. I appreciate what that game means as far into like the gaming industry, as far as like how many people love it and like the impact that it's had, especially in the PlayStation like atmosphere. But it's just not something that I'm with you. It never really grabbed me.
Yeah. Then we got a quick weird trailer for Friday Nights at Freddy's. I don't even think there's anything to be said about that, Jake. Just going to pass over it unless you want to talk over me real quick and stop me. But we also saw a lot of Demon Souls remake. Blue Point, we touched on this already at the beginning of the show, so we're going to keep going. The game looks amazing. It's going to be a release game for the PS5. After that, we just got informed that Fortnite's coming to the PS5. It'll be a launch title. Fortnite's already out, so no one really cares. I don't, at least. It's great for Sony. It's great that it's going to be available at launch, because they're going to still maybe grab some of those fans who are just strictly Fortnite players who want to get the next gen console. They're going to be able to grab them, bring them along. Big announcement, Jake, with the reveal that I thought that was really interesting was they came out and talked about the PS Plus collection. And this is going to be rolled into current PS Plus members. You pay the yearly fee, and if you're currently subscribed, it's going to apply. Now, I was going to get a list of the games, but I didn't pull it because I didn't have time before the podcast here. As far as I remember, we're going to get Uncharted. I think God of War might be on there. Horizon, The Last of Us, Part 1, I believe. There are some other games, Days Gone. So if you're a member of PS Plus and you buy a PlayStation 5, you're going to just get handed the opportunity to play all these games free of charge. And I thought that was huge because, let's be honest, a lot of people who have PlayStation 4 probably have these games already, but there's a couple on there that I don't have, and that includes Days Gone and stuff.
As a active member of Xbox Game Pass, this is something that Sony has needed for a long time, and I think this is a good step in the right direction. Now, the titles that they have aren't necessarily, it's not as comprehensive as Xbox Game Pass still, but I think that this is enough to keep them in the fight, keep them in the game. And I've pulled up the list right now. Basically, the PS Plus collection is Batman Arkham Knight, Battlefield 1, Bloodborne, Days Gone, Detroit Become Human, Fallout 4, Final Fantasy 15, God of War, Infamous Second Son, The Last Guardian, The Last of Us Remastered, Monster Hunter World, Mortal Kombat 10, Persona 5, Ratchet & Clank, Resident Evil 7, Uncharted 4, and Until Dawn. That is literally the fucking one of the greatest lists of PS4 video games that you could possibly get.
I was going to say, not to cut you off, but we did a top 10 list. Jake, was it top 10 or top 20 recently?
Top
of
10,
games,
I think,
with some honorable mentions. I would say at least half of the games on our list are on this list. And if they weren't on our list, it's probably because they were hands down already obvious top 10 games, because we said God of War, we're not going to include it. We're not going to include games like Uncharted. So, but I mean, I know I had Last Guardian on there. I know God of War was on there. You had Persona on there. I think I said Ratchet and Clank. I know I said Resident Evil. Someone did say Detroit, I believe. Oh, man. There's a lot of games that made our list are now going to be free. But go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. That's crazy that so much of the games from our list are on here.
And these aren't even all Sony first-party games. I mean, Batman Arkham Knight is not, and this might just be the beginning. It could be that Sony plans on expanding this game with third-party publishers at some point. I mean, Battlefield 1 is, to be completely honest with you, Battlefield 1 is one of the best first-person shooter games in like the last 10 years. In terms of like,
it's the best Battlefield shooters. Game.
It's the best Battlefield game. Yeah. I have some love for like some of the OG Battlefield games, like 1942 and stuff. But Battlefield 1 is the best Battlefield game in probably the last 6-7 years. Definitely the best Battlefield game on the PS4. So it was a great game. And then you've got Batman Arkham Knight, which is arguably not the best Arkham Batman game from Rocksteady, but it's still a great title. And then obviously we talked already about Resident Evil 7. In terms of fighters, people love Mortal Kombat 10. In terms of Monster Hunter World, it's literally the best-selling Capcom game ever. So Monster Hunter World is a huge get for them. Obviously, Fallout 4.
Yeah, it's crazy.
People have had some issues with it because they thought it's almost like a reskin of Fallout 3 and blah 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 blah. But it's still a really good game. The only thing that I would like to see on here that I'm kind of surprised is not on here is like the Uncharted Nathan Drake collection, which I would have thought would have been a slam dunk for this.
It's just Uncharted 4,
right?
But what's crazy is imagine playing all those games on the SSD that the PS5 has. All those games are going to load so much faster, I would imagine. I haven't played Days Gone, and I haven't played Arkham Knight, I don't think. Arkham Knight was the latest one of the Arkham series, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I actually had it downloaded, and it was a PS Plus game we got for free already, but I had it downloaded, and I actually opened it up and just started the game the day before the PS5 press release we're talking about. As soon as this popped up and said it was going to be available to play on a PS5, I just deleted the game off my PS4. Like, no reason to even get into it right now. Anyways, it's a great list. So that was one of the big things. And then lastly, they closed with a teaser for God of War Ragnarok, which is coming in 2021. Now, I don't know if that game's going to be developed for the PS4 and PS5, but I hope that it's been in development for so long. I would imagine that it has been developed with the PS4 in mind. That'll probably have some upgrades for the PS5, but it's hard to say, especially if it's coming next year.
I'll be honest with you. I think that it's going to be a PS5 only game because Sony was pretty vocal early on about how they were going to have PS5 exclusive games to pull people to the console, unlike Xbox, which was like, we're going to just fucking release everything for all our consoles. So, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if like God of War and the next Horizon game were both like exclusive to the PS5.
I think they already announced that Horizon is going to be a PS4 game, and people were really upset about that. Yeah, people were upset about that. But then they did say that it was built for the PS5 from the ground up. But that doesn't really make a lot of sense if it's running on a PS4.
This shit is all super
but that's what Sony,
confusing. Yeah.
It's almost like they're just trying to get you to buy a console. But anyways, I guess that doesn't really matter. But I did put up on our Twitter of a poll real quick, and it said, were you able to secure a PS5 pre-order? We had 38 votes, which isn't a whole lot. But of the 38, 66% said no, while the other 34% indicated that yes, we're able to get a PS5 pre-order. Now, my pre-order story is probably much different than yours, Jake, because you were out of town and you probably weren't able to follow all this shit because you were pulled away for work. Do you have a pre-order story at all?
Basically, my pre-order story boils down to this. I watched the press conference in my hotel room while I was out for work. I went to bed. I woke up the next morning to a text message from you basically asking if I got a pre-order, and I was like, I had no fucking idea that the pre-orders were even active, so no. And then at that point, the shitstorm had already fucking exploded through the fan. And then, you know, obviously there have been here and there a couple of retailers have like kind of released some more pre-orders a little bit here and there, but it's literally just like I don't even know how you even get notified, like if a pre-order is available. Like I don't even understand. And it's like if you don't get there within the first 30 seconds, you don't get it. So, you know, my story is no, I didn't get a pre-order, and I'm just setting myself up with the expectation that I'm not going to get one. Because I mean, it's just Sony has fucked this up so bad that it's. I think even you, Fred, maybe like texted me a meme or something that was like a headline that Sony released about how they weren't going to just fucking cold drop the PS5 5 pre-orders, and then like, you know, and then all this shit hit the fan. And then even with like the stuff that we were talking about last week or a couple weeks ago, where you sign up on Sony's website and then they let you know about the pre-orders,
to get an email.
Like, yeah, they didn't even announce that they were releasing those emails to the public. It was just like, my brother just fucking texted me and was like, hey, I got an email. And I was like, I didn't get a fucking email. And I'm a way more active fucking PlayStation user than you are. And it's just, so it's got to be so random. It's got to be so random that they just shit this stuff out. Like, I literally don't think that they could have fucked this up any harder, to be honest with you. I don't know. I'm just frustrated.
Right. And
because
it sucks.
It's like, you know, I'm frustrated because I can 100% guarantee you that at least 50% of the fuckheads that got the pre-orders are scalpers. And that pisses me off.
Yeah, well, yeah, so this will piss you off a little bit more too. I'll tell you my story. So I watched it, and then I was like, well, I'm going to go out for a jog. So I went out for a jog, and I'm running. I get back home, I get a shower, go on with my day, and I got a text from a show listener, our friend LJ, and he goes, he either said pre-orders are up or he said that he thought that he got a pre-order. And I was like, what do you mean? And he goes, I got mine at Target. And I was like, what? So I jump online and I go to Target instantly, already sold out. And then I jump on Reddit and people are like, they're available at Walmart. And I go to Walmart, sold out. And then someone's like, and then I instantly just rush to Best Buy. I go to Best Buy because that's where I got my PS4. And I'm on Best Buy. I'm logged in. I was able to add a PS5 to my cart. And I went to check out. I clicked the button to check out, and it just spun. the thing just spun, and then it just reset back to my cart. And I was like, okay, I'm going to click it again. It spun, reset back to my cart. Spun. It says, we're having trouble with the page. And I'm like, shit, it's in my cart. Like, I should probably keep clicking. I did this, Jake, down in my studio here for 2.5 hours. I was clicking. In the meantime, I checked Amazon. Amazon had not posted it yet. I checked GameStop. GameStop was sold out. I have it in my cart at Best Buy. So I'm clicking. It's spinning. And then someone writes on Reddit, they're back up at Target. So I open a new window, sold out at Target that fast. And I'm back in Best Buy, spinning. I'm checking my email, waiting for Sony to send an email, nothing. Going to the Sony store online, the Sony store where you got yours, and they're not available to purchase on there. I'm checking Amazon, nothing. I do this until about midnight. And ultimately, I got to the part on the Best Buy store where it asked for my card information. I go to put my card information, I click it, and then it completely wiped out my cart, and it said, sorry, we're having trouble with the page. And then when I went back to look at the PlayStation 5 to add it to my cart, it said this item's no longer available. So someone bought it outright from underneath me, and I had it in my cart. I just couldn't get their damn website to work. So I didn't get one at Best Buy. I go to bed. I wake up at like 3 a.m. because I have to take a piss. And I'm like, oh shit, in a fog. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. The PS5 thing was going on last night. I wonder if Amazon has them up yet. So I go to Amazon. It's posted, but it's sold out. And I'm like, well, I missed that window. And then I get up the next day and I get back on that Reddit page. And someone's like, I just bought one at Sam's Club. And I'm like, okay. I'm going to Sam's Club. I go to Sam's Club. I'm not a member of Sam's Club. So it's making me do all this shit. It wants to charge me like a $60 handling fee. It's in my cart, but it wants to charge me an extra $60. And I'm almost like, maybe I'm going to do it. But then I'm like, oh shit, my parents are members of Sam's Club. I wonder if they have a login. So I get a hold of my parents. I'm like, hey, can I use your login for Sam's Club? And they're like, why? And they're asking me all these questions. I'm like, just give me your login, please. And they're like, okay. And then they're like, what are you doing? As I get logged in, I'm going to try to pre-order PS5, and then my parents are super cool, and they're like, well, if it's going to take you too long to put your card in, just use ours and pay me back. And I said, that's fine. So I get it in the cart, and I go to click it, and it says this item is no longer available. And I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me. So I'm waiting, and then the Reddit stream is live, and someone says they're back up at Sam's Club. And I'm like, unbelievable. So I already have all the login information for my parents. I get in there, it's in the cart, I buy it, I get a receipt, and it says it's going to ship. So that's my story. I got one, but only by the skin of my teeth. I wish that I knew exactly if I was going to get one for certain. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I mean, at any point, any one of us can get a message, and the message could be, we're sorry, we can't fulfill this order. You know what I mean? That could happen. No one knows what's going to happen. So that being said, that's my pre-order story. Now, Sony has come out and they did apologize. They tweeted and they said, let's be honest, the PS5 pre-orders could have been a lot smoother. We truly apologize for that. Over the next few days, we will release more PS5 consoles for pre-order. Retailers will share more details, and more PS5s will be available through the end of the year. Which doesn't mean by release date. That just means by the end of the year. So I don't know, Jake. My guess would be to keep your eyes peeled on the PS5 subreddit. I don't know if you use Reddit at all, but you could check there. The listeners can check there. But it is wildly agitating, and I'm keeping an eye on my recording software here because I have an end at the end here on Logic, and we're creeping up on it because the show is about an hour and 5 minutes right now, and I just used a preset, so I just want to make sure that it continues to record and it doesn't just stop. Anyways, so if I stop talking, we'll have to reset it, Jake. But as a follow-up, that's the deal with the whole pre-order thing. So we don't know what's going to happen.
Dude, I'm okay with the pre-order thing being like a fight to the death to get a pre-order and like people not being able to get one. What fucking pisses me off is that they couldn't hold the goddamn leash. Like they should have, like if they had been like, look, in their press release, if they had been like, look, PS5 pre-orders, or if even a fucking month ago when they should have announced all this shit, if they were like, look, PS5 pre-orders are going live in 3 weeks on this date at this time. And it's like, okay, at least at that point, everybody has a fair shot at whether or not they get one. And it's not like this bullshit where it's like, oh, I just happened to be on Amazon's website whenever it posted, so I was able to get one in the 2 minutes that it was available. Like, this is the shit that bothers me. It's not that I didn't get one. It's that I didn't even have a chance to get one.
Right, and that's the thing. Is Sony came right out. Well, they came right out, and they said that we are not going to just drop the pre-order on everybody without any notice. But that's exactly what happened. They even said in their presentation that pre-orders would be live as no sooner than tomorrow or something. They said maybe something like that. But the problem is Sony didn't sell the PS5 prematurely. These retailers did. And I believe actually Walmart was the first one to pull the trigger. If I'm being completely honest, Walmart was the first to pull the trigger on it. So I kind of blame Walmart a little bit on it. That's between us, I guess. And it does suck. Don't get me wrong. It sucks pretty bad, but that's capitalism, and they wanted their money, and they were going to beat all the other competitors to it, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of sucks. Moving forward, so we don't have too much longer of a show. I think it's been a pretty good show so far. With all that being talked about, Push Square did indicate on their site that the install size for PS5 games are going to be 50 plus gigabytes, and the PS5 hard drive is 805 gigabytes. So I would anticipate eventually everybody needing to buy additional storage for the PS5 unless they come up with something else. So unless they find a better way to compress these games, because 50 gigabytes is probably going to be the smallest size that we're going to see for PS5 exclusive games. Right now, if they're 50 gigs now, they're probably only going to get larger in the future. So I don't know. I mean, if we get around 80, 90 gigs a game, you're talking like maybe only being able to have 10, 12 games installed at any given time.
Yeah, dude, I don't know. This doesn't really bother me at all because 50 gigs is fucking par for the course right now. And we're on a PS4 with only 500 gigs of storage. So it doesn't, dude. My personal opinion about the game size, the storage size, and everything is storage gets exponentially more expensive the larger you try to get it. And I'm sorry, but if you need to have more than 10 fucking games installed on your PS4 at one time, like why? Like I don't understand that. Delete a fucking game. You can always re-download it. It's one of those things that never made sense to me. It's like I'm like, okay. If
it's a convenience
PlayStation
thing.
5 games start becoming like, if PlayStation 5 games start becoming like 200 gigs, where it's like a PS Vita card situation where I can only have like 3 games on my PS5 at once, then yeah, we'll talk about it. But like at 50 gigs, you can still have like 15 games installed on your PS5, and it's like, okay, well, that's more than enough, right? And most of these indie titles, even on PS5, are still only going to be like 2, 3, 4, 5 gigs. So how many AAA 50 to 100 gig games do you need on your console at one time? I don't know. I feel like it's a point that gets too much air. And just personally, I don't think it's as big of a deal as people make it out to be.
Well, I have an external hard drive on my PS5, and what I like to do with it is I use it for all my VR games, because VR games aren't games I'm going to dive into all the time, but they're games I like to have because it's kind of a show and tell thing. So I like to have all the PSVR games I can get on my system, so I don't have to, hold on, I can't show you the X-Wing mission in Battlefront 1 because I deleted it. It's kind of nice to have, so it's a convenience thing, and I get that. Sure. But yeah, with the PS5, I just feel like I'm kind of with you on that, Jake. I right out of the gates, especially like right now, I mean, if games are 50 gigs a piece right now, 50 gigs a pop, I don't know how many games that is. That's 20 games, right?
It's like 12 to 15 games.
So yeah, which is more than enough. I mean, because when you beat a game, really, what's the point? Unless you're strictly a multiplayer person, you have 15 to 20 multiplayer games. And, you just want to have them on there because you want to game online with people. But for single player people like Jake and I, it's not really a big deal, I don't think. So there's another expansion, Jake, for No Man's Sky coming called No Man's Sky Origins. We really need to get on No Man's Sky at some point here.
Yeah, I really do want to jump back into I really want to jump back into trying that that new expansion for that. And I was actually thinking about it the other day, but for whatever reason, I just wanted to play a while ago. I think it was around Christmas time or whenever I got my Xbox. I wanted to run back through all of the Halo campaigns, and I got to Halo Reach, and I never got through it. So after I finally got to a dead spot in like the games that I was playing on PS4, I decided to jump back into that. So I would like to go back into No Man's Sky, but that game is so open-ended that it's like part of me is sort of concerned to jump right back into a game that's like could conceivably last forever. Especially after playing,
we just need to put on
The
VR
Last of Us,
headsets,
which took forever. So I'm totally into playing it. I would like to play it. That's probably going to be one of the next things that I jump into.
Cool, man. And then lastly, there was a Ubisoft Forward. They had another press release, press announcement show. We didn't get to cover due to missing the last week in news. Nothing amazing was announced. Essentially, there was just more games announcements. Game announcements, if I could speak, for crying out loud. It's getting late here. It's almost 9 o'clock. But they did announce Aiden Pierce will be in the new Watch Dogs. He was the original protagonist from the first Watch Dogs game. There's going to be a new Prince of Persia remake coming, which didn't look specifically very impressive. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is a beat-em-up game that was already out. We're getting a complete edition. And then Rainbow Six Siege will be running at 4K, 120 frames per second on the PS5. And that's all I have for news, and that's all I have for a show, Jake. Did you have any other thing you'd want to talk about, whether it be about the Ubisoft Forward or whether it be about the PlayStation release, about the pre-order, the PS5, anything you want to tell the listeners, or are you good for the evening?
I'm good for this evening. I don't have really anything else that I really need to discuss about this week. I'm still kind of bitter about the pre-order thing, but I'm sure that will go away over time.
Yeah, man. All right. Well, thanks again for tuning in, everybody. This has been episode number 152 of PS. This is awesome. I guess we're going to shut things down. So I don't know. I don't know what else to say. I'm excited. We're at the end of a generation of PS4. I think they're going to continue to support it for quite some time still. I think we're still in the very early beginning stages of the PS5. I wouldn't expect a whole lot of stuff for PS5 in 2021. I think we're going to get some stuff. But I think 2022 is going to be a great year for it. 2020, 2021 is going to be a little slow moving, but I think what we get is going to be good. But I think once we get into 2022, 2023, we're going to see some really great titles. So I'm excited for it. Hopefully, Jake, you get your console. And if you don't, you can always come over to my place and play it if you want to try it out. I probably won't even get it either. So I'm not very convinced that I've got it locked yet either. Sam's Club, I mean, I don't know, maybe. I mean, it's such a weird outlet to buy a PS5 from, but I don't know. I was willing to do anything, just about anything to get it. So, like PlayStation, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, and PlayStation 5. PS, this is awesome.